Boom! We are live. What say you with Progress Realty Partners live from our studio broadcast here in Tinton Falls, New Jersey?
That's right.
AKA
That's right.
our office. This is What Say You with Progress Realty Partners. My name's Dan Salonis.
What's going on, people? I am Adam Dickert.
That's right. And we get questions every week, guys, from investors asking us different commercial real estate investing specific questions. And we'll give our opinions and some thoughts to those questions. I know we got 4 today. Count them. Boop. 4. 2 for me. 2 for you over there, Adam.
Yep.
And let's jump right into it. And I think this one is going to be for me.
Whoa.
So, Sherry from New York. I'm new to commercial real estate. What are some red flags to look out for when buying a property? Okay. Sherry from New York, new to commercial real estate, some red flags.
Hey,
All
Dan, real quick. Just refocus your camera. I mean, your face is very painful to look at as it is. Now it's all pixelated.
Am I clear?
Nope.
That's all right. Listen to the words. Don't worry about the face. So some things to look out for, red flags when you're buying a property. Now, we focus mainly on retail, some industrial as well, but mostly that's where our core focus is on. So I'll relate it to retail. When you're looking at a property, some of the things right off the bat, and let's just assume you have limited information, maybe some leases, things like that. One of the things I would want to see is, what are the lease expiration dates, right? You want to know when these tenants are up. How long have they been at the property? And really, when you go to the property, how easy is it to get in and out? Because that's a huge component, right? Are you in the main area of where the traffic drives? Are you on the right side of the road when the traffic's going in that direction, or on the left side of the road when the traffic's going that direction? So how easily accessible is your property? In general, because even if you have good tenants, unless they're purely destination type tenants, if it's difficult to get into the property, it's going to cause a lot of people to not want to drive in. Ease of access, and in general too, when you're looking at the leases, do you have guarantees? Who's behind these leases? How long have these tenants been in business for? How important is this location for their business? Is it an essential location for them? Are they just there because the rent is cheap? What do they have succession plans in place if they have been there a while and it's a mom and pop owner? So those are some of the things, and there's a bunch of stuff you can look out for. But just as like a quick glance, you want to see what red flags to look out for. Go to the property, see how easy it is to get in and out, get a feel for the traffic that's going in, and know the tenants, their history of being there, and how important it would be to stay at this location versus then maybe leaving and going to another one down the street. So that's, on the surface, that's what I would say. Adam, you got any comments to that?
You actually touched upon, there's one topic that we always look for, and it encapsulates every single answer you just said, right? Accessibility, their longevity, whatever. You always hear there's a lot of leasing momentum, right? Leasing momentum, find out if there's vacancies. It's, again, based on everything you just said. When is the last time one of those vacant spaces have been occupied? What condition is it in? And who was it? Like, what kind of tenant was it? And why they leave, right? Because you just mentioned traffic, accessibility, visibility, other tenant synergy, and longevity of other tenants. Huge. The leasing momentum is, crazy. Why are all these vacant?
Right. Yeah. Value add deal upside and leasing out spaces. But by the way, haven't been able to lease out the spaces in the last 30 years. Right. So that's a good point. That's a good point. Right. Let's just keep it moving, man. Let's keep it moving. We're gonna treat this like a radio show. You're off. Make your point. Get off. All right. Number 2. Oh, for you here, Adam.
You just changed the picture.
What? Oh, okay. Oh, we got a Facebook. Now Kim's on Facebook. What's up, Kim? Kim's helping us out virtually here. So, Adam, Nick from New York says that I'm buying a building with one business in it, but the broker is telling me the lease is guaranteed by the tenant. Does that make the building worth more?
Nick,
So Adam, what say you?
Dig deep, man. Dig deep, right? In the most simple form. Perfect example. You can have a guarantee by Amazon, let's call it. And they don't do this. We have a phenomenal relationship with them. Everything's great over there. But they might say Amazon.com is the guarantor. Everything sounds great because it's Amazon. Once you dig a little deeper, do a little Google search, you find out from other landlords, other tenants, other landlords who the actual guarantor is. Maybe find out it's AmazonWebServices.com, who is actually the main guarantor. Point being, just because it has a fancy name on it, an LLC, or it has a person or a trust or something, find out who's behind it. Find out who's actually responsible for the trust or for the LLC. Is this the main LLC or entity that all the other locations are based on? This is, again, one business. Maybe it's a single tenant. Could be a guy worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Find out what's actually behind the entity, behind the actual guarantor. Don't just look at it and be like, wow, this has a fancy professional name on it. Must be worth a lot of money. Don't do that.
Right. Yeah, like it's only worth more depending on the strength of the guarantee. So, like to your point, if it's a franchisee that has, this is 123 Main Street LLC, and none of his other locations are backing the lease, or they're not backing the lease personally, so their personal financial statement, then you don't really have much of a guarantee.
Got nothing.
You got nothing. So yeah, you got to dig deeper. Find out, to your point, Adam, and it's a great point, find out exactly what's behind the guarantee, because that's going to determine whether or not it's valuable or if it's just, just lip service in a sense.
That is everything. Who is actually paying you rent?
Exactly.
Boom. Right, moving this bad boy along. This one's for you, Daniel. Mr. Phillip, Virginia. How much time do you recommend negotiating for a due diligence period? This is a good question.
That's a good question. And my answer would be as much time as you possibly can negotiate. No, but in all seriousness, right? Like there's no one way or a certain amount of time that people say, like, 30 days is the standard, 45 days is the standard. What you have to keep in mind, and especially if you're getting debt, and you should be getting third-party reports, these things take time. So even if you order your third-party reports, and when I say third-party reports, I'm talking about, property condition assessment, phase 1 environmental, right? These different things that you want to get a physical inspection of the property. They could take 3 to 4 weeks just to get those done. So if you negotiate a 15-day due diligence, even a 30-day due diligence, you're really butting up against the end of your due diligence period just by how long it's going to take to get these third-party reports. Plus, assuming you're buying the property with debt, right? You're going to finance the acquisition and get a mortgage. Like we like to get the mortgage and the financing lined up in our due diligence period. And that could take time to find the right lender, to get a commitment, so on and so forth. So, I would say in general, try not to get less than 45 days. 30 days is pushing it. It really is. It depends on the type of property and, what your plans are with it and how much risk you kind of want to assume. If you want to forego third-party reports, then you don't need as much time. But if you really want to get the full picture of things, what kind of condition the property is in, what kind of things could pop up after you buy it, you want to get your third-party reports, line up the financing, I would say minimally get 45 days, but get as much time as they're willing to give you. And then you could always forego things. Like you don't have to use all 45 days if you don't want to. But at least if you have it and you don't need it, you don't have to go back to them asking for extensions, things of that nature. So I would say minimally 45 days.
Yeah, and real quick, Philip, it sounds like you're negotiating some due diligence stuff. Don't forget, everything's negotiable, right? So your 45-day window or 60-day window, when does that start? Does it start from signing the actual contract of the PSA? Does it start 5 days after receiving all the due diligence items requested, et cetera? So don't forget to negotiate something like that as well. And do you see Mr. Glenn Hart over there?
Yeah, I do. That's why I'm.
You see Glenn Hart?
I want to go, and this one's directed at you. So, our buddy Glenn. By the way, man, like I don't even recognize you without the beard. I'm getting a little worried that some guy just randomly came out of the woods and he killed the real Glenn Hart. And now he's posing at him because you had that beard before. I don't know. I don't recognize you. But Adam, he's asking you, man, if you could invest in retail planning or grocer in Texas, which would you choose?
I mean, you got to go shop right. Just kidding. No. So Glenn's down in Texas, and he's introduced us through our perfect retail property. Introduced us in, I don't know what I'm allowed to say on this little show. I'm no longer an HEB virgin. Okay. HEB apparently has everything you could ever ask for. It's like a Costco meets regular grocery store combined with a liquor store, apparently all in one. That has incredible food. But real quick, Glenn, congrats on the new role. Anyone who needs anything contracting related down in Texas, click this little guy. I'm not really sure how you do it. He'll hook you up. But HEB.
Thanks for the question, Glenn. You're the man. You look good without
more of a demand, not a question.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that was a loaded question. That was like more of a rhetorical.
Yeah.
All right, what we got? All right, Adam, I think this was going to be for you. So Jacob from Maryland just bought his first retail center. Congratulations, Jacob. Okay. How do you recommend budgeting for tenant CAM reimbursements? And CAM, for those who may not know, stands for Common Area Maintenance. So Adam, what say you? How do you budget for them? What the hell do you do?
So obviously you're coming into it first time. Looking at the historical budgets and what they allotted for certain expenses is huge, right? But that only tells you about half the story. Finding out, because there's always something called a reconciliation at the end of the year. If I charge you $100 for CAM expenses, I'm projecting on my budget. We only use $80 of that. We're going to reconcile at the end of the year. I'm going to owe you back $20. So look at the CAM budgets, see where you think as an operator you can cut costs or where you think things will cost more money than the initial budget was expected. But also really look at the reconciliations from the previous years and how much their budget has changed. Right? We have a rule of thumb, Dan and I. We'd rather owe tenants at the end of the year than have the tenant owe us. Right? They've been paying us rent every single month. They've been paying us our reimbursements every month. The last thing you want to do is, they were already in April. Today's April 1st, right? The last thing you want to do is go to them now and say, hey, we had a great year last year, COVID especially and everything. You owe me an extra $5,000, right? To a mom and pop, that can really make or break them. We'd rather owe them $100. To them, actually receiving a check back feels like a gift. It's like Christmas, right? Wow, I get to operate my really cool business. I get $100 back. If anything, over budget, right? Moral of the story, over budget. You'd rather owe your tenants back than going and shaking them down for $10, $100, or even some of them bigger tenants. You might owe them $20,000, $30,000 into the year, but it's a hell of a lot easier than having them pay you $30,000, and now you're out of pocket.
Yeah, great point. And it's important too to know within the leases how long you have to reconcile the CAM reimbursements, right? Because let's say you do over budget, but you're not necessarily setting the money aside, right, to pay back the tenants that you owe. Well, if you have to reconcile within 30 days of the end of the year, and you're going to rely on the cash flow of the property to then make the money back to pay them back, well, I mean, you'll need at least 30 days just to collect the rents, for that month to even make it up. So very important to know how much time you have to reconcile. And if you don't have a lot of time, make sure that you're budgeting, setting aside money that you think you're going to owe back. So that way you're not scrambling, the 15th day of January, try figuring out how I'm going to pay these reconciliations back.
Right.
But definitely over budget. Definitely
over budget. Conservative is best most of the time.
Yeah, all the time. All right. But speaking of time, we're out of time. That's it. We're in, we're out. We're like a rest stop. You get in, you get out, you get what you need, and then you keep it moving. So, guys, that was this week's What Say You? Hopefully next week we get a couple more questions. We'll give you a couple of more answers. But in the meantime, if you are an accredited investor, you want to invest in commercial real estate, you want that cash flow, you're busy, you're a doctor, you're an attorney, you're a business owner, whatever it is, you don't have the experience, but you still want the ownership, check out our website. We're Progress Realty Partners, PRP.us. We have an active deal right now, and whispers are that that's pretty damn good. So go check it out. In the meantime, my name's Dan Salonis.
I'm Adam Dickert.
We're Progress Realty Partners. We'll catch you guys next week on another version of What Say You?